Hi, my name is Gwyn, and I'm a student in History 14, Game of Thrones, circa 850 BCE. For my final project, I wanted to tackle the idea of translation, which I find utterly fascinating, and I think the Epic of Gilgamesh is this super, super fascinating case study. So the Epic of Gilgamesh likely originated as an oral tradition, and just wrapping our minds around the fact that it was being told by different people for hundreds or thousands of years and being transmitted orally in an age when, there was certainly no way to record that exactly. And then eventually it was written down, and then after being written down, it was copied by scribes who often weren't literate, resulting in, errors in transcription. And then we have this in multiple languages. We have it in Akkadian and in Sumerian. And the Sumerian language was only a written language, not a spoken language for much of this time. So it was evolving separately. And this is in different regions. This is a pretty wide geographic area, and a big window of time when these tablets come from. And then the archaeological record is incomplete. And so scholars today have to try to put together these tablets in addition to trying to translate these dead languages. And not only that, but trying to translate through these massive expanses of time in these cultures that no longer exist, and so trying to get a grasp of the concepts that were trying to be communicated. It's a hefty task, to say the least. And I think an interesting avenue into understanding it a little bit better is to consider the storytelling aspect, and the fact that this is an oral tradition originally. When stories are told, as we might imagine them being told, in court, it would be theatrical. It would involve, facial expressions and gestures, and that is, of course, integral to American Sign Language. American Sign Language is an incredible tool for storytelling, and I think that translating the Epic of Gilgamesh, while, of course, resulting in, another layer to this game of telephone where, nothing's being perfectly communicated to be certain, it's going to help us understand it from another angle. And thinking about what I chose to emphasize, for instance, I chose to emphasize the gist of things over the exact names of the kinds of birds that are talking, or the exact numbers that are being communicated. I expressed those terms in other ways. And thinking about the choices that those are made based on the features that are available in a given language, I think will help us gain a better window into this, because all these languages that has been translated into time and again carry different features, and this is, no translation is perfect. I also chose ASL because we noticed some similarities between ASL and Akkadian. One is that they both sometimes drop verbs. So for instance, in ASL, if I wanted to say that today is cold, I would just use the signs for today and cold. And similarly, both feature a lot of redundancy. And so Akkadian has a lot of redundancy in symbols, so a single symbol can be translated in many, many different ways. ASL similarly has, certain signs that are used again and again and again. You'll see this in my presentation. For example, like this sign could mean, forward or persevere, depending on the context. And this redundancy is not a shortcoming of either language. Rather, it allows for flexibility and speaks to the complexity. So I really think that this translation is going to provide this interesting new angle into storytelling and translation, and I hope it gives you something to think about. So before I begin, I just want to acknowledge that I am not a fluent signer, and I've attempted this translation out of respect and admiration for the deaf community and for deaf culture. I myself am hard of hearing, and thanks to Williams, I have taken ASL 1 at Gallaudet University, and I also want to give a shout out to my friend Ari Kwasny, who is fluent in ASL and gave me some help on this. Without further ado, hope you enjoy.